Productive Dentist Academy podcast network.
Doctor, I know that you think your website is a marketing tool. It's not. It's actually a mirror, and sometimes what it reflects is not pretty. You've probably spent thousands on getting a beautiful design, and that's great. You've put an effort into your SEO and the overall branding, but are patients still ghosting you online? Do you even know if patients are ghosting you online? If your website looks great, but it's not converting, what and where is the real problem actually hiding? This is an internal discussion with two people that are absolute experts in their field. And I invited them to join me today and said, I want everyone that's in dental to hear this discussion because you can benefit from it greatly before 2026. And I think put in some really great changes to your own website. So to dig into this topic, we have with us Kenny Davenport and Sarah Hansen, both from Phoenix Dental Agency. Kenny has built websites for over 2 decades now, and I've been part of his process, his journey, grateful to see the evolution of it. And this man is constantly passionate for online presence, websites, and just building the best, most user-friendly experience possible. And Sarah Hansen, who has been an office manager in the dental practice, comes with an enormous background in dentistry and is everything that exists when it comes to pulling authentic marketing through to an effective strategy. So together, we're all going to sit and pull the curtain back today, and we're going to talk about what actually makes a website work and what questions you should be asking yourself so that you can get the most out of your website and you aren't just throwing money down the drain. Kenny and Sarah, welcome to Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. How are y'all doing?
Howdy. Doing well.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great. I know that you're eating lunch, Sarah, right now. I know that Kenny's pulled off a project right now. This would really be a meeting of ours. And so I'm going to ask you guys, since I've worked with clients myself, since I'm responsible for PDA's websites and their performance as well, so I've had my own websites and worked on client websites. There are a lot of numbers to look at to have a website. So it's easy to get a website up, but how that website is put together and the data that comes as a result of that website can mean wildly different things. So since, Kenny, you're like a technician, since you're the website developer and you work on the back end, I'm going to start with you. And then, Sarah, I'm going to go to you. I really want to know, when a website is actually working, what metrics are you paying attention to from your perspective and what matters?
So I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you're talking about converting. That's really what you're looking for is your website converting? So yes, visits is really cool. It's always been a nice metric, see how many people are coming to your website. But if they're just going and bouncing, it doesn't really do you any good. So form submissions are huge. The form submissions come in, calls are huge. And if those lead to conversion, then I'd say you're doing pretty darn good.
Thank you. Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, well, I say from a practice perspective, we like a website to do a few things. One is websites are not created equal. And Kenny can speak more to that from the back end. So from the back end, it should be doing a lot of different things that, we like to geek out about, huh, Kenny? For us, standpoint. But from a practice perspective, the metrics that we really like to look at is, one, is it actually converting patients? A website should not just be on the interweb looking pretty and, just sitting there. If your website is not actually converting patients, then you shouldn't really have a website, because if it's not working for you, then, what is the point of one? So, and you can track that through actually the conversion rates, right? How are your patients finding out about you? We can put call tracking on there. We can put web forms on there. Are they requesting appointments for your website? Do you even have that technology on your website, which we know is crucial right now? A lot of people are looking for the convenience of that. They don't want to have to call to make an appointment. Oftentimes they're at work, they're busy, they know that they need an appointment. It's top of mind for them. And so they quickly want to request an appointment. It's interesting, Reagan, when we talk about stats, there are so many stats that we could really pull out about a high performing website actually really changes practices revenues. It is mind blowing when we think about conversion rates, building trust with patients instantly. That is crucial to your website.
I love how both of you jumped to the end in alignment and said it's conversion. Conversion is what matters. And if you were anyone who's ever worked with any marketing agency, you will usually get a report, and that report has all sorts of data on it. It has the impressions, it has the, what pages are visited most. And then if you really get down into the weeds, how many seconds somebody was on. Kenny, to your testament, you said, we don't want them to bounce, like meaning I'm assuming we don't want them to be there for a few seconds and then leave. And all of those little metrics can be, they can look like action and then they're really not. And so cutting to the chase of the conversion, that gets to that just attacks it right from the head. Kenny, I want you to walk me through what makes that conversion from a technical standpoint. So for example, how fast a website loads. What are the things that you are working on behind the scenes that help make that user experience really great and supports conversion? Because I don't know that people even know the elements of it or know to ask about that.
I was hoping you're gonna touch on the loading, so I can nerd out a little bit. So your website, every time you pull up a website, it takes a certain amount of like megabytes, and if you're on a slow connection, it's gonna go slower. If you're on a fast connection, it's gonna go faster. But even on a typical fast connection, you want to get your website to load in at least 3 seconds. People's attention spans and their patience is really low.
So if it just spins and doesn't load up, you think they'll bounce because of that?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Another thing is making sure all your information is accurate, up to date, especially if you have something like specials on there, financing, that sort of thing, because you really don't want to be caught off guard with having bad info.
Mm-hmm. What about accessibility? That's something that I've learned about recently is how to make it accessible for people with different needs.
So accessibility for me, it's always been kind of a passion thing. When I was just starting web design, I had a relative his vision is he's darn near blind, and I saw him using a computer and just seeing how difficult it was. Like, whoa, that's crazy. And since then, technology has really moved where you don't have to have all this extra software. You can build this right into the website. So anyone with a disability, visual challenges, maybe if they're a little sensory overloaded, you can do things with that. So you can adjust the contrast, you can make text bigger, you can turn off all the animations and just kind of calm it down a little bit. You can highlight links. There's just unlimited things that you can do and you absolutely should do. I believe there are laws about your website should be accessible. But to what degree, it really depends on what you want to do. Ours is about as good as you can get.
I love that you have a personal tie into that too, because it wouldn't be, unless I know someone or I personally have some sort of disability that would make seeing or reading websites difficult. I don't know that would be top of mind at all. But you did mention that there is a legal component. So it's just an area for me to highlight. It's an assumption that I'd love to see. It's an assumption that every website is accessible, but to what degree? At Productive Dentist Academy, we've helped thousands of private practice owners find the clarity inside their data and take control again, starting with a free 60-minute coaching session. Head over to investmentgradepractice.com right now before the next patient sits down to claim your free 60-minute coaching session. That's investmentgradepractice.com.
Right. Another thing is, I'm 3 years shy of 50. I've noticed my vision, it's going a little bit. So if I could pull up a website and just like bump out that text a little bit, it really helps.
Yeah, I've got my readers on now finally at this point. Yeah.
I've got myself taking pictures of small text and blowing it up.
Well, I think that slides us into design really well and the aesthetics of it, because it's really common to look at trends and want to follow the trend and be trendy. And that is honestly a dangerous and a really costly decision if you are following trends strictly. So I'm curious, Sarah, I'll start with you. Like, when would you pull in and say, okay, this is wise to follow a trend, or when would you caution them against that? And what's your philosophy around being popular from a website perspective in regards to trends?
Yeah. When it comes to popularity, what I would consider makes a website popular is really the engagement or the authenticity coming from a website. So, and that's really what patients are looking for. Is are you who you say you are? So, for example, they know that you're a dental office. They know you most likely do implants, crowns. They can probably get a general checkup and cleaning. But what they're looking for is what else? What is that other thing? Um, Reagan, I think you'd probably be really surprised to know that most websites don't have updated photos. Most websites have a lot of stock photos. Doctors, if you have stock photos on your website, I want to throw a stat out because I don't think in the dental industry, they realize the impact that it's making on actual new patient conversion. New patients are actually really, it's almost like the dating game. But what they're looking for is they're looking for a provider that really they can establish trust with, right? They're trusting us to take really great care of them. And when they go to a website with a lot of stock photos, outdated imagery, things like that, they're going to move on to your competitors within 10 seconds because they know nothing about you. And so, I mean, Kenny can attest to that. He looks at the bounce rate. We look at heat maps on our websites. So again, those are things that I think, within the dental industry, I don't think we really think about that. And especially where doctors are really new patient heavy, how can I, get the most new patients? How can we accelerate our growth? I think that those are some of the things that practices are missing is that, you've got to have that authentic content. That is what's creating your engagement. That is what's getting the patients to say yes. That is what's getting them to convert and to actually take action to call your practice. And that is, one of the things that we're really passionate here is getting that authentic footage, the photos, the videos. It's crucially important to starting that emotional relationship with those patients and establishing trust so that really the pathway to yes, right? Yes to treatment, yes to appointments, yes to referrals is shortened.
You said it's about authenticity. So you say authenticity. I hear the dentist say it's about budget and my capacity for taking photos. Where do we draw the line with that? And a support, I mean, that's a powerful stat you threw out that they will abandon. They will go to the competitor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they do. So, I mean, here's the thing. Are there multiple options? I mean, even we have a full video team that we can come out and help support doctors with. We do that every day. It's easy for us to do that. It's powerful. Our doctors have seen huge growth impacts when we go out and provide content for them. The great thing about the content is it's so versatile, you can use it for years. So it's no different than investing in your practice, in your business, right? Like you would with anything else. And again, I would say when we're talking about marketing campaigns and where would we put a great investment to get maximum ROI, photos and videos are huge. And I would recommend that top of anything, really. That really is a core foundation to everything that we do. It sets the pathway for everything because you can use them on so many different platforms. But, I would say to any doctor, I guarantee you have team members in your practice that are on TikTok and social media all day long. They know how to use a phone. They grew up on videos, unlike us, Kenny, right? Our middle-aged selves. We didn't have videos growing up, but they have. And so again, even having them pull out their phones, doing before and after photos, even doing fun videos of the practice, adding those to your pages, that is better than nothing. But again, that is really crucial. It is statistically proven that patients will go to competitors. If we cannot build trust with them, Within 10 seconds, they're moving on to your competitor down the street.
One of the best websites I've seen is Dr. Crystal Martin's website. So I don't remember what state she's out of, but I remember when I first saw the website, it had what looked like maybe a picture taken with a phone, like an iPhone, and it was her and I think a veteran. And I was immediately endeared, which was really interesting reaction. It wasn't a flashy professional photography, but that paired with the messaging was interesting. Kenny, from a technical user perspective, I remember, whatever the latest flashy thing is to put on a website, people will often request that. So I remember one year in particular, every client that I interacted with asked for a rotating banner. And they didn't really even need why they were asking for it. They just wanted it. And they didn't know even what they should put on each rotating banner. They just wanted the rotating banner. So from a technical user experience perspective, Ken, how do you evaluate when to bring in a design trend? And what's your process for vetting that out to make sure that it actually meets the needs of the user?
That's actually it right there. When I'm seeing a trend, the question I'm asking is, does this add to the experience? Or does it hinder? If it adds to it, great, let's do it. Let's try it. If it just slows things down and it's just kind of annoying, I don't think so.
I'm curious, what over the past couple of years, is there anything that's been introduced at all that's new that seems like it's enhancing the user experience?
A lot of animation.
Tell us about the animation. Animation is not video. That's different than video.
It is different from video. Just animated elements on the screen. A lot of what you'll see nowadays is more like micro animations. So you click a button and something happens that it doesn't take up your whole screen, but you definitely notice it. Kind of like if you're using like a social media app and you click the heart, maybe it has a little sprinkles or something around it, or just something very subtle. I feel like that we're kind of going away from the bigger things and just keeping things more kind of compact.
That makes sense. And so do you think it adds a bit of novelty? Like it catches
Oh yeah.
pattern break?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's just it's almost like when you touch a key on your keyboard and it gives you that little vibration.
Yes.
Similar to that. It's the same effect. And it's like, oh, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Kind of gamifying it.
It gives a pause, right? And that's kind of what in marketing we're looking for, is that pause. What's going to give them, websites that have lots and lots of content, meaning verbiage and data, paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. Patients don't read any of that. They don't. We are a very how would I describe it, Kenny? Short-term memory or short-term activity, society right now, right? We like to have everything happen pretty quickly, right? I mean, if we don't get our product in 2 days of Amazon, we're like, where is our stuff? What is taking so long? So, again, none of us are reading paragraphs of verbiage. It's not happening. So what I love, at least the feedback I've gotten from clients from what Kenny's talking about for some of the animation that he's done, this newer technology that we're adding to a lot of our clients' websites, is it breaks up, kind of visually what's happening on the site. And again, it's giving that patient a pause. Like, again, it's breaking it up as they're looking to discover what this practice is all about. And it's really cool because it's capturing them and it's keeping them engaged, as we say, for the website. The longer they can stay on that website gathering information about the practice, the more likely they're going to schedule an appointment. So again, we talk about bounce rates and things like that. That's what we're trying to tell the office is, hey, how do we get enough information from you guys? What are those things that outside of the dentistry part, but what else is it that we want the patient to know? Because that's what they're looking for, and that's how we keep them engaged.
One of the things that I heard that popped up was heat mapping. And Kenny, I'm wondering if you can explain what heat mapping even is. And can a dental practice do that themselves, or is it something that the website provider could do for you or should do for you?
Typically, the website provider. If you ever seen the movie Predator, when he's got the vision on there and he can see the different
from the 80s.
Yes. So when you can see like the different heat signatures, it is just like that. So the system will show you like an image of your website, and it'll kind of have these colored hot spots all around where people have either touched, or if they've been on a phone, they can do like eye tracking, stuff like that. And it's really neat.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is that usually offered from website providers and larger? Is that something that you have to ask about?
Usually you want to ask about it. And
Okay.
it's super handy, at least on the developer marketing side. You can see if, something's not getting any attention or something's getting a lot of attention. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you
Mm-hmm.
want to go even deeper, you get into analytics and see where they're going from there. What's the rabbit trail?
That's the kind of
Yeah.
behind the curtain stuff that I think is so nerdy and fun, but it's
Yes.
effective. I mean, it really lets us know, is the messaging working? Is the imagery working? That is amazing to me. I don't know of too many dentists that don't actually have a website today. However, I do know of a lot of websites that are created and the process has been harrowing, and then it sort of sits there. So I'm curious from each of your perspectives, when do you consider a website to be out of date and it's time to refresh it or get a new one? So Kenny, from the technical side, when do you consider a website to be out of date, out of compliance, at risk, like time for an upgrade?
If it's not keeping up with modern day standards, really.
Hmm.
I
What does
still
that
come
mean?
across, well, I still come across a lot of websites that only work on a desktop, don't work on mobile.
Still?
Still, it's crazy. Like, what? What's holding you back? It's really not that expensive to do it, and it's from a technical standpoint, it's not that hard to do. Um, there is thought to where you want things to break and stuff, but really everybody should be having that.
Does I don't know if every website provider au- automatically offers like back end maintenance. So maintenance is a question that I hear, that comes up a lot. What is website maintenance, and should you be doing it, or should you make sure that it's part of your plan? I mean, I feel like it probably varies. Is your website up? Yes. Okay, check.
Yeah. Well, your whoever your provider is, they should be doing that. You shouldn't have to do that. That's just uh, let's just keep it in their wheelhouse, and they keep the stress off your shoulders. So really, with the website, a lot of them are powered by a content management system where, yes, the software updates, the plugins update, and you have to keep them up to date, just because of security, for features, things like that. Besides that, really just making sure that your content's up to date.
Yeah, so let's slide over into the brand side of the house and the content. Sarah, what are some things that you
Yeah.
look at from that patient experience and the brand overall? And then, when do you finally say, okay, you need to get on this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're really passionate about, this is marketing. This is your digital front door. This is really how most patients are seeing you for the first time. So again, first impressions. That's why for all of our clients, we offer every 2 years, we do a full website refresh at no charge. Like we're big about, this has got to be up to date and stay fresh. It always makes me giggle a little bit when there are practices that say advanced technology, high technology, and yet their website looks like it was created in 1998. It's like, no, this isn't. So again, when we talk about from a marketing perspective, again, this is our digital front door. We've got to make a really great first impression. Another thing that we really support clients with is we don't charge for edits because, again, you should constantly be having your website updated. So, new team members, new technologies, new services, new associates. Let's say, even celebrations. We love to highlight doctors that hit milestones for Google reviews, anything like that. Maybe they have Invisalign days that we can add pop-ups to, anything like that. You want to constantly be refreshing and adding and editing your content. Again, we also like to do, if they've got maybe specific campaigns that they're targeting for certain quarters, we can then help, encourage that same content by adding different things to the website on the homepage or making calls out to that. So again, when we work with our clients, we definitely put a lot of emphasis and a lot of support on the website because it is important to keep that up to date. Again, that's what patients are looking for. That's how they're noticing them. And you want to have the best foot forward possible and keep that content up to date. So, if it's something that you have to go in, so going back to what Kenny said, if you have to go in and are constantly making the edits yourself and stuff like that, that is a lot of work to do. And so there's a lot of people that can help you with that. And I would say look for a company that can definitely, if they're charging you for every edit, I would say maybe find one that doesn't, because I always recommend, working with people that see the value in having the most up-to-date, best foot forward with marketing. Again, that's really important when it comes to your brand and representing your practice, with, again, the correct team members, the correct office photos, things like that. You want to make sure that you've got access to have that updated all the time.
One of the biggest red flags for me is children, because children visually demonstrate the passage of time. I saw a flyer just recently, and it had a great picture of a healthcare provider and their spouse and their child, and I remarked on it, and the response I got was, "Oh, the kid, who was very clearly really young, is graduating this year." I was like, wow. So maybe it's time to update the art, and yes, maybe we added a few more wrinkles, but we're reflecting something that's authentic versus something that really isn't a true reflection of what exists today. So doctor, if you've got children on your About Us page and maybe they're in third grade there, but they're graduating now, it's time. It's time.
Yeah, it's time for sure. For sure. Or if you have team members that haven't worked there in 5 years, let's update the About Us page for sure. Make sure you've got the accurate team members, because again, patients are looking for that, right? Like they're looking at, when I call the office, who am I speaking to? They like to have that visual connection. So your About Us page is actually one of those pages that people look at quite frequently. They want to know what the team looks like, who they're talking to. So when they come in, they kind of have a sense of what the doctors look like, what the team members look like. So that's really important to a patient.
And with the, sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So along with the new photos, like you were saying, Sarah, on the About Us page, getting them consistent too, as opposed to having kind of a hodgepodge of where were they shot? And you get these ones that are really low res that are shot on a phone.
This was my selfie from my Instagram profile photo. You just used that one. God, that's a really, really good point. Different head sizes, different environments, that consistency. Wow, that goes into the overall kind of brand experience. And, it is a mirror. We said that in the beginning, a website is a mirror. And if it is up to date and active, that actually creates this sort of, subconscious micro moment of trust, to know that that's what I'm going to get to experience it. The other piece of it is a tool. It is a tool, and it is an intersection where people will intersect with you and then they go on to the next step. So it doesn't do everything for you. It's a tool on your journey. I'm curious, given all of the clients that you both have worked with, both of you, I think, inside and outside of dental, who do you consider to be the best person on the inside of that organization to act as a champion? Because this is, I think, a very critical question. I think it matters, because if someone's not looking at the metrics, if somebody isn't paying attention that those photographs are not up to date, or the messaging is, the special that's on there was a special from 6 months ago and you don't even offer it anymore. Who's the best person for that typically, and why?
I say, while the doctor is, yes, incredibly important, I actually say the person who probably sits in the highest seat would be your admin person, because they really are that front line. They are the first interaction with the patient, whether they're coming into the practice in person or calling the office. We can market all day long how great and welcoming we are, how kind and friendly our team is. But if we call the practice and we have a really bad experience with the person on the other end of the phone because they're having a bad day, all of that marketing now is a waste because now that person can't even convert the call, right? The patient's now going to go somewhere else. So really, that really is that first line of defense, we call it. And so making sure that that team member, one, that they know what's going on. So Reagan, I love that you spoke to, maybe we had a special 6 months ago, that we're no longer running. It is so vitally important, doctors, that your team members know what marketing you have out there, that everything is aligned and consistent. I cannot tell you how many times we have team members that are like, hey, wait, are we doing a new patient special? Like they have no clue what's happening in their marketing. So again, one, making sure that the team's aligned with everything that you have out there, but two, that you have invested in your team and given them the tools that they feel confident to handle tricky phone calls, because that does happen at that seat that they sit in. They do get those. Yes, we have wonderful patients, but sometimes fear and anxiety from our patients cause reactions in our patients that sometimes come across grumpy or mean. And so those people sitting in that seat really have a hard time sometimes, with handling those phone calls. So I would say that is the most crucial seat in the practice, followed then by probably the doctor, because it really is ultimately their responsibility to, present risk factors and ultimately, have the patient accept treatment and case acceptance. But I would say that very first phone call is vitally important to marketing and really sets the tone for that patient experience in the practice.
This creates a really dangerous gap that exists because I firmly believe, and I know we're all aligned, that the doctor carries the vision for the practice itself. So the doctor's responsibility is setting the vision and then also, communicating the core values that sit on the website so that that experience is consistent. However, once it's up and running and you have the form in place, maybe you have an online scheduler or a chat bot, something that's there. I think there is a large assumption that it will just be handled and everything will work okay. And I know over the years that I have unfortunately seen the results of that, which is I thought that the form fills were being responded to. I thought that, our chat bot was actually running and that we didn't have it turned off. So Kenny, from a technical perspective in this, what are some of the attributes or behaviors you would look towards in that administrator to make sure that it's connecting with results on the other side? So if you want that conversion, there is that piece. What kind of, like, when you think about all the clients you've worked with over your decades, like, what are the ones that are really killing it? What do they do?
Responsive. Just being responsive to people, to their questions, really just helping them, because that's why they're getting a hold of you. They need something that they need help with. So really, like on the developer's side of things, we'll create the forms, we'll test the forms and make sure the office is getting them. If we can see like their numbers or something going down, what the heck? Okay, let's connect the dots and see what's going on. And that's where Sarah and all her people come in handy, is looking at the call data and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that you said responsive. And Sarah, I'll connect the dots here. How do you define responsive? Like, is it 2 days? Is it 1 day? Is it 5? Like, what are there any sort of like numbers or best practices that you tell team, hey, here's what responsive means?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell teams as soon as possible, right? So, it's interesting, Reagan, just yesterday, my daughter, she needs to have her wisdom teeth out. So of course I did my due diligence, I asked my neighborhood, who do you recommend for an oral surgeon, right? All the things that I talk about every day with clients. But what was interesting is I actually tested this oral surgeon. I went to their website, filled out an appointment request form, and submitted it. And I wanted to see how long it took them to get back to me. It was about 24 hours, which in my mind, that's acceptable. 24 hours is acceptable. But I would say, doctor's rule of thumb, don't ever let it go more than 24 hours if possible. We understand weekends are a little different, right? If you're not open on Fridays, obviously returning a call, first thing Monday morning is more than acceptable, but definitely on a weekday. But we always encourage teams to check the email, or check the text message, however that information is coming in, to have someone check it multiple times a day so that we're responding to those patients as soon as possible. Again, we are a society that we like to have answers pretty quickly, and then we move on to the next thing. So if they don't hear back from you, they are moving on to another dentist. So making sure that someone is on it, that we're checking that email, we're responding to them. I even encourage teams of saying like, hey, if you're getting an email and a text message or a cell phone number, I would even call them and email them back, so maybe try 2 forms of communication back to them just to make sure that they don't slip through the cracks type of thing. So yeah, I would say for sure, no more than 24 hours.
But to add on to that, it's not just dentistry. Uh, Well, for my household, as an example, we've been doing a lot of work around the house, bathroom remodels, stuff like that. Called all kinds of contractors and email contractors, and the ones who weren't getting back to us for like a week, they lost the business. Like, how bad do you want the business? If it were my business, I'd be pretty darn responsive.
I think that's one of the most overlooked things, honestly. And I agree with you, even outside of dentistry. Those who are not responsive, they will obviously lose the business and then complain about where business is. Why aren't we getting any business? So if you're not looking at the responsive issue, that's something that you can check weekly. You can check it daily. You can check it weekly. I don't think it needs to be something that is difficult. You can tell right away if the form fills are being responded to. And that's a nice metric to put into a weekly cadence. Absolutely. So you mentioned animation, Kenny, and I just thought of blogs, because are blogs dead is my question number one. Should people be doing blogs still in this day and age? And my additional question to that is, from your perspective, what is the one thing or two things that dentists are getting like the most out of their website? What are they doing to stay on top? So one, do we even need blogs anymore? And two, from your guys' perspective, what are the doctors that are really killing it? What are they doing that the others aren't?
So my answer is, should they still do blogs in this day and age? Yes. Yeah, my answer will always be, does it add to the experience? Is it useful information, or is it just kind of slop? You want to have something that will actually benefit whoever's reading it. They're not going to feel like they wasted their time. Along with the text, yes, it's great for the search engine stuff. But today we like to see a lot of different things. We'll see imagery, videos, downloadable PDFs, that sort of thing. Sarah, you can probably
calls
talk
to action, something that's educational.
exactly. So Sarah, you can probably add on to this lead generation. How we've been doing a lot of fill out a form, you can receive this awesome guide, stuff like that. That's huge. Those are some of the people that are killing it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. Sarah, tell us more.
Yeah. Yeah. There is nothing more exciting when I get on calls with our clients and we get to read back data. Now, we have to make it fun because I can geek out over the back end data. But what gets really exciting is when, they come to us and they're frustrated, right? Marketing for them, either they've been burned by marketing in the past, or it's not quite working for them, or they're frustrated because, they're trying to grow the practice and they feel stalled, right? And that happens a lot. I mean, unfortunately, doctors aren't alone with that. But what gets really exciting and what we have found is when a doctor in a practice can have a really robust marketing strategy that includes an SEO strategy. So when Kenny talks about, blogs, so part of, having a robust SEO strategy. Now, SEO is like a buzzword that is like, oh, well, we have SEO. Not all SEOs are created equal, right? So we're talking about, and Kenny's like shaking his head like, yeah, exactly. We're talking about really a well thought out SEO strategy that includes blog, that includes pages that are added to your website. that includes management of Google My Business, that includes reputation management, that includes Google reviews, that includes, we're talking about a lot of stuff. Now, all of a sudden, your website can grow 200% in 6 months easily, because now you have all these different aspects online that are helping support and really fuel what's happening. And that is a very doable thing when you have the right pieces and the right people working on it, and helping, put all those things in place. And so that gets really exciting for doctors when all of a sudden, they've never been ranking and now they're like in the 1, 2, or 3 spot, and they're like, people are finding us. It's like, yeah, I know, isn't that exciting? So again, it really is about putting the right pieces in and then really utilizing all those things. Having downloadable articles, because the reality is people are still searching for education when it comes to dentistry. People are learning about things. People are asking a lot about fluoride right now. Is it safe for kids? What do we do when we're pregnant? Can I, do certain things? Can I whiten my teeth when I'm pregnant? Right? There's just so many things that people are still wanting to know about and educate themselves on. Health is really important to people. And so having that information out on the internet that's tied to your stuff makes a huge difference. And so it is really important when you can have someone that manages it, that kind of helps guide it. And then the benefit for you is you rank really high in addition, right? So it is fun.
I have one last question. Thank you both for taking your lunchtime and talking with me about this. I'm passionate about it. I know you two are passionate about it. When a website is not connecting with the overall brand, and I define brand by being the in-person experience. So physically walking in the door and being a patient from check-in to sitting in the chair and leaving. When those two disconnect, which one do patients believe?
I'll defer to Sarah on that one.
Yeah. So this gets really hard. When patients walk in, so for example, I've seen it both ways. So when patients walk in and you have a beautiful website and your office is not what it portrays on the website, I have seen patients leave the practice. Also, yes.
Well,
Yes.
they'll schedule, they go in and they will leave.
Yes. Yeah, because again, we have a brand break, right?
Yeah.
When you have pictures of a practice and then that's not really what your practice looks like, you've now, because they're establishing trust. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to a website, we have to establish trust instantly with these patients, which is why that authenticity is so important. So when you have photos on your website that maybe don't necessarily represent your practice, or you have stock imagery of a practice that isn't your practice, and that's what the patient thinks that they're getting, and then they come into your practice and it doesn't look like that, I've seen patients leave a practice. Also, vice versa. I've also seen a patient not come to a practice, a beautiful practice, because their website brand is terrible. Like, it hasn't been redone in 15 years, right? And so they've gone to another dentist, and yet they weren't getting as good of care. So again, I can tell you that everything that you put out from a marketing standpoint is vitally important to everything that you do with a patient. Unfortunately, we do kind of judge books by its cover, especially when it comes to our health, because again, we are trusting the people that we are, going to for dentistry. And so we want to make sure that if we're going to be trusting them with our health, with our money, right, with our family's care, that we believe what they're saying. And so if there's ever any type of brand break there, now there's a break in trust, and people don't like that. So again, it is crucially important that everything that we do really aligns, that there's not that break in messaging at all. So, if your office needs to be repainted and you have an old photo, but that's what the office looks like, it's okay. Have it look like that, right? And when you get the office repainted, take new photos and put that back up. But to have photos that don't necessarily reflect what the practice is, that will cause distrust with the patient. So again, and now we're setting the patient up to now question everything, right? So again, I can't stress enough how important it is that we're building trust with these patients, far before they even come to your practice. If that's one thing, doctors, that you take away from everything I've said today is, really it is crucial, crucial, crucial that we're establishing trust with these patients, that your website really is an extension of you, that it has that authenticity and that messaging that represents you and your practice, and that they can feel that with you. If so, I promise you, you will reap the rewards, meaning those patients will come to you. They will come in with a higher level of trust. They'll be more apt to say yes. And you'll notice a higher loyalty of patients.
I think this is a big red flag moment, and I'm want to reach out to you, Kenny, as we wrap this up, because marketing companies, website companies can get a really bad rap for not bringing enough patients to the door. And it can, feel really frustrating both for the doctor who's invested in the website and for the agency, because again, there is a communication gap. I'm curious, I'm making an assumption here. Have you, I don't know if you've seen it necessarily with your own clients, but if all of the pieces you were saying earlier, Kenny, are in place, meaning the bounce rate is right where you want it to be, like they're staying engaged, the heat map says that they're going down, they're engaging in the site, they're staying on it for a long time, and so those pieces, the user experience, the accessibility is there. If all of that is firing on all cylinders, then could that be a clue to you, if they're not getting the conversion that they wanted to, that perhaps it's not actually the functionality of the website, it's something to do with the brand?
Very well could be, yes.
And Kenny, so then let's walk
Like
our listeners through. Yeah, I was going to say, so let's kind of walk them through a scenario, because we have worked through this before, Kenny, you and I, of like, this is where Kenny and I, work together so well. He will notice something from where he sits of like, hey, Sarah, we've got potential here. Like there's, things are looking good from our end, and then I'll pull stats and be like, yeah, but we're not getting some new patient conversion like we want, right? So we're able to work together, and really identify what's happening with a website just from the back end data. And then we're able to take that to the doctor and say, okay, here's our plan, here's where we see some opportunities. So, how can we best support you?
So you have me on the edge of my seat. I think this is a great way to close out. So Kenny said, hey, yo, Sarah, this all looks good on our end. So I don't understand why this isn't working. You got in and you guys diagnosed. What was the result of this, and how did you approach this with the client?
Yeah, they needed video content. They had beautiful new office, brand new build out, high technology practice, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is that we were talking about it. We had some really great photos, but we needed that like last little connecting, trusting piece. And so we had Matt and the team go out. We did a full video shoot. And now, I mean, Reagan, this made my heart so happy. I just heard from the team. I was with them last week, and even people at the gas station are like, oh, I've seen you guys on Hulu. I've seen your commercials. Like everyone's seeing their videos. Yes, because their videos are so popular. Everyone's seeing them. Everyone's engaging with them. So not only has their website grown exponentially, but like we've taken that same video content. So again, this what I'm saying is, yes, it's an investment. However, we've been able to use that same content and put it on every single platform, repurpose it, mix it up. Like, again, it is such an amazing investment, and how we've been able to, like, the ROI on it has been incredible. But again, that was that like boost that they needed, because everything else was working. There was just like a missing piece. And so when we added that video content, now the people come in and they're like, I know the team. Like we even have videos from the team talking about what is like a typical hygiene visit. What does that look like? We did a video where they actually sent a birthday video to every single patient. So it's like those little things that just make a huge difference when we're establishing trust. And it has made a huge impact. And now they're more successful than they ever thought. And they're hitting all their goals, far exceeding their goals for this year, simply just by adding video, which is crazy. Like it seems so simple, but yet, right, it makes the biggest impact. So
I think my favorite videos are the walkthroughs. Yeah, you get the doctor just like, welcome, come on in.
Yes.
Tell me about that, Kenny. So welcome coming in, and what does the doctor do?
It's inviting, it makes you want to be there. Hey, they're happy to see you. They got a smile. Welcome, come on in. It's like well, you always hear me say howdy. Why? Because
Yes.
it's the friendliest way of saying hello I can possibly think of.
So do they just like use a handheld, like their phone, or have a selfie stick or something? And do they say, "Hi, come on in"? And like, did they walk you through the practice? Is that what a walkthrough is? Like, it actually is that? Like, this is Starla over at the reception desk, and this is your friendly hygienist. And oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I mean, yes, you can have a whole video team, right? Come out and do something super professional, or you can do something. I mean, iPhones right now are incredible, right? You can shoot in cinematic with our iPhones. Like, who would have thought? But yeah, you can just shoot with your iPhone, have the doctor or even, the admin team, because again, they're that first face that you're going to see. Hey, we just want to welcome you to our practice. Let's go on a tour, right? Walk them through the practice. This is our hygiene team. This is the people that you're going to be seeing first, right? Here's the doctor. Hey, everyone wants to know where the bathroom is, right? Kind of make it a joke. So again, just those, but what you're doing is now you're seeing the practice in real time. You're also now getting to know the team on a different level, right? You're hearing tone, you're seeing them joke. Again, it's like you're getting a sense of knowing somebody. And yeah, put that on your website. You can even send it to your patients for a new patient welcome. There's just so many opportunities that you can utilize video for. I would say that is probably the single most underrated marketing tool that we have today is photo and video content. And yet it is probably one of the most powerful tools that we have in marketing right now that you can use on any platform. So yeah.
It all goes back to that authenticity.
Yep.
I was gonna say I'm
Yep.
gonna recap us here because I think we're starting to slide into strategy. Listener, if you didn't get value out of this episode, I think you need to give me a call personally because that's crazy. I heard quick takeaways. One, make sure your website loads in 3 seconds or less. That's going to be really, really important. Two, if you want it to feel fresh and engaging, check out and see if you have any animations on it. That's about the trendiest thing you should be focusing on right now because otherwise it's about accessibility and making sure that that information gets to you. Real photos, real photos, real photos, real photos. I heard that and I will preach that from the roof. I can't believe we're still using stock photography in this day and age. There's so many things you can do, but most importantly, it doesn't have to be perfect. I heard that. It just has to be real. And make sure that you have a champion, someone who is actually responding to the form fills, to the chat requests, to the online scheduling so that it stays top of mind. What else did I learn? I learned maintenance is really important. Not all maintenance is created equally. Make sure that you understand what they're doing. Blogs are still good. What else? What else? You guys can go back and listen again. There is a ton of takeaways from this. So
We need like part 2 and 3.
yeah. The challenge I have for you listening right now from all of this, doctor, is go to your website right now. Take a look at your photos. Let's start there. Take a look at your photos. Are they up to date? Are they out of date? And how long did it take you to load that website? Trick for you here. Go to a device that you don't normally use because it caches it. And so that website might load faster on your own Android or phone than it does, say, a friend that probably isn't sitting around looking at your website. So do that as well. Do those two things. If you've got something that you feel is a little out of alignment, Sarah, how can people get a hold of us?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Go to phoenixdentalagency.com. Oh, Kenny. Okay. If you guys, Kenny, I'm going to shout you out. Okay. Everyone, if you want to see a really cool animation, can I shout you out, Kenny, for a really cool? So our logo, Kenny did a really cool animation with our logo, with our phoenix bird flying.
That was a lot of fun.
So it was so fun. So, okay, everyone, if you want to see a really cool animation with even a logo, Kenny did that at phoenixdentalagency.com. So again, guys, it doesn't have to be anything massive. Kenny just took our logo, made it animated. So again, it just captures attention. But yes, all of, everything that we do is there. But also, you can reach out to me. I am happy even if you guys have questions about a website, if you want us to even look at your website, anything like that, I can pull Kenny in. So you can email me, Sarah at phoenixdentalagency.com. Kenny and I are here to support you. Our whole team is here to support you guys. So listen, it's not going to cost you anything. Like, seriously, shoot me an email. We'll take a look at your website. If you have questions, we're here to support you. So we're here to kind of help people out and, help you feel supported. So yeah, you're more than welcome to reach out.
We do, in fact, have the best team.
We do. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kenny and Sarah, so much. And listeners, thanks for tuning in. I look forward to hearing about your progress. If you have feedback for me, did you like this episode? Do you want more episodes like this? Email Reagan@productivedentist.com. Until next week, see you soon. Hey, thanks for joining us on Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could leave us a like or a review on iTunes, or go to Productive Dentist Academy through Google and leave us a review there. We are here each week to talk about what's possible when you lead your practice with clarity and courage. If you are ready to build a business that supports your life and not the other way around, investment grade practice coaching powered by Productive Dentist Academy can help. Visit investmentgradepractice.com to schedule your free 60-minute coaching session so you can start designing the practice and lifestyle you've been dreaming about all along. Or have something personal to share with myself or one of our hosts, you can email us at podcast@productivedentist.com. We'll see you next week.